a post-production assistant at Imagine Learning Studios, a freelance shooting researcher at renowned films.
Good to be back.
Is that the same jumper?
Oh, fuck yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I'll start by talking about what I did at AirTV. So I've been on AirTV committee for 2 years. Some of you might remember me from those days, but some of you might not. So at first year I was the head of tech, so that allowed me to kind of familiarize myself with all the equipment that AirTV has. And then I became the head of tech and the head of features, so that's basically when AirTV started doing Bleed Green, so I was one of the Bleed Green OGs. And then a lot of the people that were doing Bleed Green at first were fourth years. They've kind of started the initiative, so then they left uni and I was kind of left with Bleed Green. So that was like 2018, 2019 that I started doing, like, producing Bleed Green. And at that point it was a weekly show and then bi-weekly show that we were doing. And to be fair, like, Bleed Green still on my CV to this day, and it's probably like, from all the things that I did in AirTV, that shit taught me the most, and it's still like lessons that I'm using today, because like, as many of the other alumni mentioned, like, that just pushes you to make stuff, and it's unpredictable things as well. So just the amount of shit that went wrong with that show, holy fuck. So then, kind of fast forward, when I finished uni, I got a chance to work for BBC Disclosure. So basically, through uni and through BBC Disclosure, I managed to get my idea commissioned for a short documentary on iPlayer. So I was a camera operator for that. So again, because I kind of understood kit from all the years of running around with most of it on my back at RTV. And then started working at Firecrest Films. As you can probably tell, I no longer work there. So I was in charge of their equipment. So they're a production company in Glasgow. Good place to work. They're producing quite a lot of content. And yeah, basically I was managing their equipment locker, making sure that all the productions have all the stuff that they need. And because you're good with equipment, you're being sent to location and you get to like film stuff, because like that's a thing. Like, there are people who are camera operators, but that's a relatively small number of people. I feel like in the industry right now there's quite a lot of like post-production assistants who's shooting, or like shooting researchers. I'll get to that in a minute, where you're doing kind of a variety of different things. They don't really need to pay you a camera operator rate, but you're still being given like a second or third camera on production. So then a couple of commissions have fallen through in Firecrest, and they let me go after a couple of months. So I literally got a job that I was really enjoying right after uni, and a couple of months later I had to be looking for another job, which was a challenge, but also like shit like that happens in the industry. It's not uncommon. Like, a lot of people are working on short-term contracts, and the industry is kind of going through peaks and troughs, so like, you know, you kind of have to be prepared that at some point you might need to be scouting and looking for a job very quickly. So I ended up joining Imagine Learning Studios. So Kirsty and Andrew, who's not here today, were working there, and as a post-production assistant, at first my job was supposed to be literally like quality control of films and exporting films, doing like reversioning. Basically what Imagine Learning Studios do, they re-edit BBC documentaries into like short form films for like educational materials for schools. So that's what I was working at, but because I had some other skills, I quite quickly became like color grading for them, which is really fun if you're enjoying that kind of line of work. And right now I'm in charge of their equipment and doing some filming with them as well. And on top of that kind of being my 9 to 5, I'm also filming quite a lot, freelance. So I've been doing some like live broadcast sports, and I managed to recently secure a shooting researcher job on a BBC 3 documentary about Glasgow Rocks, which is a basketball team. So I just started filming with them last weekend. And I got that because one of the producers that I worked with at Firecrest, the previous place that let me go, She was also let go, started working in a different place, and was looking for a researcher and remembered me from a previous job because I was dealing with equipment, so she was like, that guy. So this is like a really fun project. I'm super excited to be filming some basketball games and getting a BBC credit for that. So yeah, in general, like my time in AirTV allowed me to kind of understand equipment and practice filming to the point where like once I got to the industry, I like by no means know everything, and this is obviously different equipment, and there's plenty of kind of learning curve is most certainly there, but I was kind of confident enough to be able to do at least some of that work because there is an overlap between what I've been doing in AirTV and what I'm doing now. So my advice is, I feel like that's one thing that always stuck to me because I was annoyed by it when I was in AirTV, is that you get people coming from the industry and they tell you that they don't really care about short films, or that's kind of the feel that you get. They're like, oh yeah, you're making stuff here, cool, but like, we don't want your portfolio, we just want your CV or shit like that, you know, which is, to me, it always was kind of, yeah, it just made me so kind of angry and annoyed, like, we're making cool stuff here. But now I'm kind of thinking that it's not that they don't care about you making films, it's more so just what you learn while you're making those films. So like, just the basics, you know, like, if you're making stuff, they might not necessarily care about the exact film that you've made, but people will care that you can make a good schedule, or that you understand how cameras work, or that you had practice with lighting, because those are the skills that they are actually seeking in different roles. So yeah, so make stuff, but try to also make your stuff better and better, improve. Like, this is the place where it's okay to fuck up, and like everyone fucks up, and those are the learning opportunities. So yeah, overall, lead green.